Today on our 2018 Subaru Crosstrek, we're going to be taking a look at the EcoHitch Class 3 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number 306-X7365. So here's what our hitch is going to look like once we have it installed. Now the really nice thing about this is the cross tube is going to be completely hidden behind the bumper, and all we're going to see is the receiver tube sticking out. And because of the design, we can actually remove this bolt here and the entire receiver tube will come out, giving it a completely concealed design. Our hitch is going to offer us a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, which means we're going to have a lot of different options for any kind of accessory that we want to mount up. The way we're going to mount all of our accessories is the hitch pin hole here on the side, and it is going to accept a standard 5/8 pin and clip. And while these are not included with the hitch, you can pick them up here at etrailer.com. Our safety chain connection points are actually going to be behind the bumper, right by the bolt holding the receiver tube on. Now, although we may have to reach in, we should have enough room to get those safety chains in place. And since they're tucked so far back, we're not going to have to worry about interference with the pin. Now, with those numbers in mind, you always want to double check your Crosstrek's owner's manual and never exceed the manufacturer's recommended weight. I'd like to give you a few measurements that's going to help you when deciding for accessories for your new hitch, such as a ball mount, a bike rack, or even a cargo carrier. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the outermost edge of the bumper is going to be right about 2.5 inches. That measurement is going to come in handy when you're looking at folding accessories to make sure you have enough clearance and that it doesn't come in contact with the rear bumper. From the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening is going to be right about 15.5 inches. That measurement is going to come in handy when you're looking at ball mounts so you can find the appropriate rise or drop to match up to your trailer. So now that we've seen what our hitch looks like and gone over some of the features, let's show you how to get it installed. To begin our installation, we're going to come underneath our Crosstrek and we're going to need to lower our exhaust. We're going to have a total of 4 hangers, 2 on the driver's side right by the muffler, 1 on the passenger side by the muffler, and then if we move further back right by the rear axle, we're going to have another one. But before we lower the exhaust, you want to make sure you put up a support strap to make sure it's not going to hang down too far. We'll just make sure there's some tension before we start removing the rubber isolators. Then take a little bit of spray lubricant. I'm going to spray the hangers down, and it'll make it a little bit easier for those isolators to slide off. And then I'm just going to use a pry bar to slide that rubber off the isolator. With all the hangers loosened, we're going to slowly lower the strap down so we have a little bit of room to work with. Now if we come to the bottom of the frame rail here, on each side we're going to have 3 plugs. We're going to want to pull all those out so we can grab a flathead screwdriver. We'll just pry those out of there. And we're going to remove the other side as well. Now to get our hardware in place, we're going to take our pull wire. It's going to have a coiled end on it. I'm going to put a slight bend in it. And we're going to take the coiled end. We're going to feed it into the frame at the hole that's furthest towards the rear bumper. And we're going to feed it forward until we can come out the hole towards the front. Now it may take a little bit of patience and maneuvering to gain access. Once we have the coiled wire through, we'll slide one of our spacer blocks over the coiled end of the wire and we'll push it into the frame. Then we'll take one of our bolts. We're going to take one of the internal lock washers, slide it over the bolt, and then thread it onto the end of the wire. And we'll push both of them into the frame and we'll pull on the wire until the bolt drops down through the block. We're going to want to carefully remove the pull wire from the bolt because we're going to have to repeat this process for all the remaining bolt holes. For the forward attachment point, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to start out with our pull wire, slide our spacer block over the coiled end, then again take one of our bolts and the internal washer, slide it over, then we'll thread it on to the wire. Then we're going to feed the bolt in first, followed by the block. And then we'll pull down on that wire until the bolt comes through. And keep in mind, anything we do on one side, we're going to do on the other side. Now with the next set of hands, we're going to lift our hitch into place. And once we have the bolts going through our hitch, we're going to secure it using 2 flat washers, a lock washer, and then finally a hex nut. You want to make sure you get at least 1 nut on each side hand tight, that way the hitch will support itself. We'll come back with a 3/4 inch socket, and we're going to tighten up all our hardware. Then we can come back with the torque wrench. We're going to torque all the hardware down to the specified amount in the instructions. Now we can lift our exhaust back up, and you may want to spray a little bit more lubricant on the rubber isolator. It'll make it a lot easier sliding back in place. Finally, we can remove the strap. So now we can grab the receiver tube. We're going to slide it up until the holes line up in the hitch. Then we're going to take our 5/8 bolt, follow it up with a lock washer, and then a 5/8 flat washer. We're going to go in through the side of the hitch until the bolt goes all the way through, and then we'll thread it in. We can come back with either a 15/16 or a 24mm socket, and we'll tighten that up. Then we're going to torque down that 5/8 bolt to the amount in the instructions. That'll finish up your look at the EcoHitch Class 3 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number 306-X7365 on our 2018 Subaru Crosstrek.